everybody, and welcome to the City Council regular meeting agenda, July 18, 2017 at 7 p.m. Can we start with the call to order, and we'll go into Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have Ms. Ciclali, if I say it right, she's going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Clavey. Can I get roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember McCabe.
Present.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Present.
Councilmember Sicairos.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra.
Present.
Mayor Soria.
Present.
For the record, all council members are in attendance here today.
Any changes to the agenda? Any changes? We'll move on to announcements and reports. I see Supervisor Espinoza.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos. Okay. I'm on my way back right now from Planara. I don't know if you guys seen all the fire departments going over towards Mariposa right now. And I was in the Cesar Chavez School in Planara. That's a relief shelter. And so they're taking donations, food, funds, if anybody wants to donate money, food, water, or whatever, even dog food for the animals. It's much appreciated, and then if that one overflows tonight, they'll probably go around and move people to the Liberiana High School. And so I want to take advantage and thank a lot of the community citizens as well of Planara, which are taking their time to be there and helping out and donating a lot of stuff and helping people with making sure they get there to the right location. And all the hotels from Trolac to Fresno are full, booked. Because for everybody that's the entire city of Mariposa is evacuated, so, and Catherine's Valley as well. So they're returning people. If you want to go east on 140, they turn you back. So it's you can't go that way. I know they have some shelters in Coarse Gold as well. So, hopefully, I know it's tough, but with the smoke, a lot of people tend not to move, run away from their homes, but it's unsafe. So it's better sometimes to leave your property and belongings, where you can take, but your life is not worth staying there and suffocating and whatever. It can lead to a lot of unhealthy situations. So, so God is hopefully we can take a minute and pray for all those people that are being affected right now, health-wise, and and losing maybe their properties and everything they have. So, thank you. Also, I wanted to talk about also the 4th of July. It's a good event, but I think we need to Livingston 4th of July. I know they had some trouble, so hopefully the council relooks at that with, I was hearing about a lot of issues with the way it's handled, so it's up to you guys to decide, on the best way. I know that Ricardo is going to do contract with the Sweet Potato Festival, and he's done great things on his own, and whether the city takes a percentage from him, he can run it pretty smoothly. And if you guys decide that you might want to go that way too for the 4th of July, I think it'll be great. So it's up to you guys. And other than that, I think that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Thanks, Supervisor. Has anyone from Merced County been in contact with Mariposa County that checked the status of how the smoke is, which way it's going, or the plumes, or what should we look at?
It's all going towards the east, southeast, and all the fire departments are out there. So they were, actually the CEO gave us an an update, and I've been calling him right now because to make sure the OES at Castle is looking at where all the animals, the large animals and small animals are going to. I know they got some shelter for the animals there at the fairgrounds, and even the Merced College is looking at it, and maybe housing some of them too as well. So I know that our HSA in charge of mental health and all that for persons that might be disabled can be housed in some different locations as well too. So I'm also to area something else. If I remember right now, I'll come back. So any other questions? You look like you have a couple of questions, Alex. No? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. We'll move on to city staff announcements and reports.
I'm the only one. Good evening, everyone. Recreation Department has been very active, and I just wanted to give you a little update on what's going on. This Thursday night at the Farmers Market, we'll be celebrating National Hot Dog Day. The band will be out there cooking hot dogs, so come on out and get yourself some produce. That we now have 3 farmers out there, possibly 4, and it's going to be a great night. Our Rec Commission will have its second meeting on July 27th at 6 p.m. So we invite the community to come out and support the Recreation Commission. On the 27th of this month, we have a really special farmers market. Some kids from the high school and community members are going to help us celebrate Punjab. We will be having all kinds of activities out there. For those of you that are curious about the Indian culture, they'll be giving some history, turban tying, some henna tattoos. We'll have samosas, a lot of different activities, so come on out and check it out. Also, this Monday, our soccer league begins their practice, and it's very sad to say that I have 30 kids on a waiting list, and we're really short coaches. I've all but gone door to door begging people to coach. So if anybody has any ideas on, how we can recruit coaches, it's not that we're losing coaches, it's that our program is growing faster than the coaches can come in. So if anyone has any ideas or anyone out there is interested in coaching, please call me. And that's it. And I do have a flyer about next Thursday, and I'll just...
How many teams do you have signed up already or put together?
We have 370 kids, and so team-wise, we have about 28 or so, give or take, off the top.
So for those 30 kids, how many coaches would you need?
Well, they're all over the place.
Oh,
So
okay.
we would have to divide some teams. We'd probably need another 6 or 7 coaches.
Okay. Well, anybody out there listening that is interested, contact Jackie from Recreation. We'd love to have you come out and coach or give back to the community. The kids need you. Any other staff reports? Okay, we'll move on to city manager announcements and reports.
I want to talk for the public. Can I come talk for the public?
Ms. Coleman?
Okay.
Chairman and City Council members, my name is Paul H. Garcia, and I just had some, I could barely hear, I guess the audio system is a little bit, but I still can't really hear very clear. On the dates that you had for the what was it, the night, something I could barely understand.
For celebrate Punjab at the Farmers Market.
Market?
Yes.
It's July the 27th.
Oh, July the 27th, okay, but you said something else, that they were going to have hot dogs and things like that?
National Hot Dog Day, we're celebrating this Thursday.
This Thursday, that's where I was kind of confused, so is this Thursday? Oh, okay, I just want to make sure and get some clarification. Also, you were asking for ideas in regards to, I guess, the soccer or something like that? Okay, I could probably, in other words, meet with you and share some experience that I had in Fresno, so, okay? I'm here to help, okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other staff announcements?
Mayor, if I can go back to my comments real quick, something, tomorrow is the Regional Transportation Plan project list. It'll be here tomorrow in Livingston at 6 to 8 o'clock. They had a meeting in Los Banos, almost nobody showed up, and I got a call from Mayor Los Banos. MCAG did not do that much advertisement, but I'm asking you guys to let the public know, to bring citizens, because this is where, where it's important for Livingston to address our projects that we want. The Livingston bottleneck, the hammer winding, I think that's, a priority that's been in the past, and hopefully whatever you guys want more, we want to make sure that we address it, because I know MCG will be here addressing it, and another one is the Atwater Expressway and the Campus Parkway. We're not here with the Campus Parkway, we're only here for the AME, we're here for Livingston, this will be for Livingston, so make sure that you address that. I was going to be in Sacramento tomorrow for a cannabis, for elected officials conference, but I won't be there, so I'll stay here and make sure that we address those issues tomorrow. And even, this is in regards to, if this is out, Winton, Delhi. Okay, so they want to, and there's a project that was brought to the board of MCAG by Mayor Mike Villalta, Mike from Merced. Murphy. Strong, remember the last, my movie from Merced. He wants to build a sidewalk, beautifying sidewalk from Merced all the way to Atwater with everybody's fence. When we don't have any sidewalks in Delhi, we don't have any sidewalks in Winton, and we need, the bottleneck is more important because that is Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Act funds that should be used for that, and we need to make sure that we get our bottleneck, because that's, for the people that affects us here. Last Thursday, I went to Caltrans with 20 people from Planara, and I addressed the light in Planara and addressed the bottleneck. And Samuel Gordon, the director of Caltrans District 10, he said he's been here in Livingston, he's been through the bottleneck, and he remembers it because both lines come together and people are trying to go south, people are trying to go straight to go north, and it's an issue there. So, but I told him it's worse during in the mornings and after hours when people get out of school, people go to school, it backs up all the way to B Street for a mile. So it's a lot of congestion, and the air quality is being affected, and that's very important for our community to make sure we get it, okay? So make sure you tell your friends, everybody, to be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock to address all those issues. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
Just a quick question for you. You said that they're looking to put a sidewalk between Atwater and Merced under Measure V?
Yes, that's one of the projects, but, Alex was there, and we said, hey, this is not the place right now, we haven't called for the project lead, this is where it's supposed to be, like right now, like tomorrow. That's where, people call for projects, and they wanted to push it in ahead of time so they can, staff go ahead and study it. I go, we passed it anyway, but, that means Thursday I put that bottleneck on MCAG as well.
Is it on this Thursday's agenda?
Correct.
I was talking to the city manager yesterday. I must have missed it. Where is it on the agenda? I didn't see it.
The Winter Parkway is on the right, along with Mike Villalta from Los Banos, put the one sidewalk from...
Okay, I must have looked at it something. Okay.
Yeah, they will check on it, because I made sure that I went over there and we approved the...
Yeah. Under my comments, I'll make a point, talk to our MCSU representative as well, so.
Vice Chair right there.
Okay, well, Vice Chair, then we should be able to have quite a bit of say in there then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Para la gente que está escuchando en sus casas, el Supervisor Espinosa está diciendo que hay una junta mañana de 6 de la tarde hasta las 8. Son proyectos que están pasando aquí en Livingston. Si pueden venir a decir sus opiniones y pasen la palabra, vengan mañana aquí en la sala de consejos de 6 a 8. Any other staff reports? We move on to city manager announcements and reports.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council and esteemed public. This one is a little bit related to the county, and so I'll share it with Supervisor Espinoza. As you might recall, we've been working on trying to expend our Rule 20A funds, and we had identified back in 2012, 2013, B Street as one of those, well, the underground utilities, basically, it beautifies the city by undergrounding all of the electrical lighting. And so back then, we had actually put together a project and presented it to the county. The project itself was estimated to cost around $2.9 million. At the time, we had about $600,000. Now we have about $730,000. Of course, it's only a small portion, but the idea that we were tossing around, and I would like to bring that up again, is that the county use some of their Rule 20A funding in conjunction with our funding to actually, bring this project to fruition. And so I plan to generate a new letter that I would like to send to the county to get the county to entertain this again. Again, why am I communicating this? Well, first of all, that is, if there's any streets in town where both county and city residents use the most, I think B Street would be that street. And so I think there's a nexus there, and I think that, if we can put this before the right individuals, it would be great. So I'll let the supervisor.
I asked about those funds because, and I asked him, hey, this is a project that Jose brought forward and he was pushing, and so some of those Rural 28 funds we use for the Walnut in Winton, but they told me, well, those are county funds. The city gets its own funds, right? But, so what we need to do is sit down with Jim Brown together and get the facts if it's fees that come in from PG&E for all the cities and the counties together, or is it just for the county? But even if it's for the county, those funds are part for my district. So this is my district, and they should be used for that too as well.
Yeah.
Right, so if the city has some funds and we can use some of those funds for Livingston, hey, I'll push for that. Okay, so, but we need to make sure that we understand what the true legalities or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll push forward.
Perfect. So again, the nexus here is that, again, this is a gateway that both county and city residents use. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily would categorize Main Street as, as being as up there as a B Street, again, coming off Highway 99 and coming into the city.
And they told me to use those fees also together with SDP money, or what is it?
Yeah. Personally, I think that the county can certainly use the funding for this, again, because we're leveraging funds and we both use that B Street.
The bus passes through there.
Everything, all county services goes through there. And then on top of that, what I plan to do is, I already talked to PG&E reps, and you can actually ask for future advance funds. So for instance, we won't get an allocation for the next 5 years if we ask for all that money up front, And so $2.9 million now becomes, a viable project. So that's kind of what I'm working on, and I would love to sit down with Jim and go through that again. So thank you very much on that, Council. Wanted to also share that, related to the county, we're going to be setting up a meeting fairly quickly with Jim Brown to start the preliminary talks on the tax sharing agreement. So quite a big things that we need to go through, but one of the main things that we want to talk about is, and I know we chatted already in agreement, and that is, looking at the tenure of this contract, not 180 days, and then any side can just pull out. Otherwise, we're back to, all the time and energy and resources. Yeah, cancellation clause. So that's on that. Also, I was mentioning to the council about a draft San Joaquin Valley Community Reinvestment Act plan that I'm basically pushing out there with some colleagues. If you guys don't know, there has been quite a bit of bank closures throughout the valley, and those communities that only have one banking institution have been the ones that have been biggest hit. Why? Because can you imagine if we didn't have our bank here, where would the closest banking institution be? Is there any other ATMs in town? So there's a big impact, and on top of that, as you guys know, the Community Reinvestment Act requires banking institutions to give back to their community where they're doing business. They can be in the form of in-kind, it can be in the form of actual grants or funding, technical assistance. And so I would like to, bring all that up because I think we're missing out, and I think that there could be a lot more that can be done. Even banks that are not situated here. I mean, for instance, there's a lot of banks who have home loans and other types of loans with our residents here, so they don't necessarily have to have a presence physically, but they should be helping us out. The other thing is, that I have that I would like to share is, we met with the state water, the Department of Water Resources. They got a major grant, and it has to do with river restoration and the reintroduction of certain type of fish coming up the Merced River. And one of the elements within that grant requires them to work with disadvantaged communities. And so we are considered, a certain part of our town is considered disadvantaged. And so we were just brainstorming with staff on what are some of the possible things that they can assist us with, that we can come up with, that we can use some of the funding for. Everything from youth employment to addressing some invasive species issues to putting some swells here in town, and making sure that our storm drains are clean, all that. So we're just brainstorming at this point, but we're happy that they approached us and that there could be something good coming about on this grant. Continuing on grants, we did get clearance from the Department of Housing and Community Development on the in order to start expending funds on code enforcement. So the CSG contract that council approved, they're going to be here this Thursday. We got one hot ticket item for them already that we got actually today, and they're going to be addressing some issues which I won't go into at this point, but we already have one hot ticket item for them. In addition to that, there's been some complaints on some safety issues off of F Street and, Mario, what's the other street? Is that Fifth? Fifth? Yeah, Fifth and F. So staff went out there, Chris went out there, and we're looking at that because when they come out to the intersection, cars are if they're going a little bit too fast and they can't see, then there could be a collision there. So we're looking at different things in that regard. There's also, I wanted to get back to Councilmember McCabe with regards to the RFQ for that grant for the surface water study. First, we did get clearance from the department for the sole source, but I did the research, and I wanted to get back to you with regards to all the engineering firms that were contacted. So the city did advertise in the newspaper, did post it on their city website, and actually sent a package, an RFQ package, to 15 engineering firms that either worked with the city or have expressed interest, and then they were also contacted. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens, maybe it's not enough money or who knows, but we're going to continue to if we have to call them twice, not just one time, call them twice, because we want to get more than one, submittal, so I wanted to report, and that's all I have tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions, council? Thank you for checking F and Fifth Street. I know Odie and I went out there and it was kind of painted a little bit to push back the cars, but it still could be a hazard, so. All right. Move on to city council members' announcements and reports.
On any of these items?
Is it on these items right here, sir? With regards to okay, all right.
Okay, I just needed to make sure that the clarification for the grants, was it the beautification funds, the 2.5 million and 600,000? Was that at the beautification, or what was that project?
Or are you talking about that's the Rule 28 funds?
Yeah, the Rule 28, yeah, that one.
So every year, the utilities give the municipalities in the county a certain allotment of funds. In this case, the city receives roughly around $18,000 to $20,000 a year, and so we've accumulated a lot of these funds over the years, because, again, you see how expensive undergrounding projects are, so $700,000, well, not too much, it sounds like a lot of money, but there's not too much you can do with it. So in this case, we're trying to leverage that with county funds, and then also try to get advanced funding from the utility companies.
Okay, you mentioned 2.9 million, is that projected,
The 2.9 million is the estimated cost of undergrounding all of the electrical lighting that you see on B Street. And of course, it's from a certain point almost to the intersection.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got the information right. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Councilmember McCabe?
Fourth of July was a great time. This weekend I was This weekend I represented us with the WELL Conference in Oakland. I'm part of the fellowship there, so we're working on water policy and different ways to work together as the valley to work on our GSAs and our programs to really be forward-thinking on our water policies. Those meetings were held at the Sierra Club, which as a farmer was kind of a unique place to be, but it was still a lot of fun. Want to say thank you to our officers and to all the staff that were involved with a successful 4th of July. And a thank you again to the Recreation Department for getting so many kids involved into soccer. That's exciting. The more we can get our youth involved, the better. Thank you.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Just real quick, 2 weeks ago, I attended the League of California Cities Conference in Monterey. Really good conference. Also, the 4th of July Festival was really good and well attended. And just overall, just everybody, I know the heat, stay hydrated out there. And that's pretty much it.
Councilmember Sicaros?
Mr. Burgess, thanks to staff and all the hard work that goes on. And thanks, Jackie, for the farmers market and everything you put into it, too. Thank you.
Councilmember Salmon?
Yeah, for me, first of all, with Mr. McCabe, I'm sure you'll be attending the MCG meeting Thursday? Of course. Perfect. I know you will, but I just want to make sure. But we need to make sure that we get our projects on there, I know Supervisor Espinoza is correct with Mayor Murphy and them, we got to make sure that we also stay well represented in Measure V, Our people are paying, I know you would, I'm not saying you wouldn't,
That's important for you to show up tomorrow for...
Yeah, and that was my second point I was going to make. 3 of us showing up at that would be probably a Brown Act violation. So my suggestion is we pick 2 people that can be there. That way, some of us make more than one person make a comment, that we don't get into ourselves in trouble, so I would highly recommend that, who wants to be here tomorrow? That only two people show up. And I think you'll have, and I'm not trying to, you'll have plenty to say on Thursday. My suggestion is the other four, like, pick two people from that, because then we can just like, that's one way for us to get three people to comment on our needs here, you know? You'll be able to speak on Thursday, and then maybe two people here, I don't know who wants to show up tomorrow. So who wants to show up, you know, do you want to show up, one? One, I will, yeah, we'll show up, and then we'll give, somebody, maybe Jose can give you what we talked about, whatever, that way you can bring it up, you know? Because we gotta make sure that we can get some of our projects on there and taken care of too. Huh? Yeah, I'm gonna be at LAFCO tomorrow. I'm gonna be there tomorrow, so it's not but I know I'll take care of LAFCO, you take care of, you know, MCAG, and Juan and I'll be here tomorrow, so we just gotta make sure that we speak with the united voice that here's what is important to us.
And remember, money will come to us directly as well.
I understand.
We'll be able to be working there as leaders of our own community. There's only certain things we can do with the county government.
Yeah, no, I realize money will come into us, but what I imagine, I don't know exactly what Mr. Espinoza was saying, is they'll probably want to use the funds, not that portion that goes directly to the cities, but the other portion. We got to make sure that we get our projects online and our share of it.
I agree. And the thing I want to remind everyone, though, is that a strong Delhi, a strong region, makes a strong Livingston.
Exactly.
We need to be mindful of the surrounding communities as well, to make sure we're looking out for them, because they directly impact us. Our citizens work with those communities as well.
Yes. So we'll tag team this one. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just came back from Merced County abatement meeting, and really nothing to report, just we'll be spraying in rural areas and make sure that you don't have standing water to attract mosquitoes. And I don't have anything else, so move on to public hearings. Item 1, proceedings under the 1972 Landscaping and Lighting Act, California Streets and Highways Code 22500, with approval to levy annual assessments for the citywide Consolidated Landscaping Maintenance Assessment District Number 1, confirming assessments for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Yes, on the Mayor and Council, we have Dan Louie, who's the project manager for Wilden Financial Services, that will present this item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. City Council has previously approved the formation of the Landscape Maintenance Assessment District Number 1, along with the methodology of applying assessments to properties within the district. There are a total of 26 zones of benefit consisting of residential and commercial properties. The levy and the collection of these annual assessments is for the maintenance of various landscaping, lighting, and park improvements within the zones. Staff has worked with Wilden Financial Services to assist in the preparation of the annual engineer's report. The total proposed assessment for fiscal year 2017-18 is $656,696. The details of how the projects are assigned into benefit zones and the rates for each of the zones are included in the engineer's report. On June 20th, 2017, Council adopted resolutions initiating the proceedings, declaring intent to levy, and preliminary approving the engineer's report and setting the date and time of the public hearing. This is the public hearing. This action requests that the City Council open the public hearing to receive testimony. Upon conclusion of the public hearing, city staff recommends the council adopt a resolution approving the amended engineer's report and setting the annual levy of assessments for fiscal year 2017-18. I would be happy to answer any questions the city council may have.
open up for a public hearing at 7:38.
I just have a question. Is there,
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Paul Garcia, and I have a question in regards to what is is there a cost, or is just this a proposal, or I didn't really get, hear that.
These assessments, for each year, the city council must adopt the resolutions in order to place these levies onto the county's tax roll. Depending on if the property is in one of the 26 zones, there is a rate based on the benefits received to that property. The rates range from $11.44 to $789.52, depending on which zone a property may be in. For this year versus last year, there are 12 of the zones which there is no change in the rates from the previous year, and then there are 14 additional zones which have an increase of CPI, which is 3% this year.
Still open to the public. Any other comments? Okay, we'll go and close the public hearing and consider comments from the public. Let's bring it back to council for any comments. I had just closed it. Was this regarding
Okay, buenas tardes.
is this regarding the item we're on?
No, it's only the public comment.
Yeah, no, we haven't opened it yet for citizens' comments. Just wait for citizens' comments.
¿Qué te aviso?
So comments from council, any motions?
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to adopt resolution approve the engineer's report and levy the collection of assessments and confirming the diagrams and assessments for fiscal year 2017-18 for the consolidated landscaping maintenance assessment district number 1.
You have a motion, I'll go in second. Any roll call?
Councilmember McCabe?
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Siqueiros?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Soria?
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, we're still on public hearings. We'll go to item number 2, proceeding under the Benefit Assessment Act of 1982, Government Code Section 547003, for the approval to levy annual assessments for Livingston Benefit Assessment Districts, confirming assessments for fiscal year 2017-2018.
World and Financial Services, Mr. Daniels will also address this.
Thank you. City Council has previously approved the formation of the benefit assessment districts along with the methodology of applying an assessment to properties within the districts. There are a total of 19 districts of benefit consisting of residential property. The levy and collection of the annual assessments is for the maintenance and operation of various drainage, detention basin, and street improvements within each of the districts. Staff has worked with Willdan Financial to assist in the preparation of the annual engineer's report. The details of how the parcels are assigned into benefit districts and the rates for each district are included in the engineer's report. The total proposed assessments for fiscal year 2017-18 are $167,234. There are 5 zones which there are no increases over last fiscal year, and then the remaining zones have only an increase of CPI of 3%. This is the public hearing. Again, upon conclusion of the public hearing, city staff recommends that council adopt the resolution approving the engineer's report and setting an annual levy for assessments for the fiscal year 2017-18. Thank you.
Thank I'm going to open it up to the public for item 2 on the public hearing at 7:43 for any comments. So we'll go and close it back up at 7:43. That's anyone approaching. Bring it back to council for discussion, comments, or motions.
Okay, if there is no comment, I'd like to make the motion to adopt resolution approving the engineer's report and levy in collection of assessment confirming the diagram assessment for fiscal year 2018 for the city of Livingston benefit assessment districts. I have a motion by Vice Mayor Sandlin. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second from Councilmember Aguilar. Can I get roll call, please?
Councilmember McCabe?
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Siqueiros?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Soria?
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to citizen comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening for items which are on the agenda. This evening, members of the public will provide an opportunity to address the city council as each item is brought up for discussion.
Ok, buenas tardes, mi nombre es Floripes, mi dirección es 929 Orchoway aquí en Livingston. Sí, yo nomás quería decirles, pero ya me ganó el supervisor Rodrigo Espinosa lo que yo iba a decir de la meeting de mañana de las 6, ojalá que ustedes también estén acá para apoyar a la comunidad de Livingston.
Muchas gracias.
So the young lady who came up to the podium, basically, translating what she said, was that she wanted to make sure, even though Supervisor Espinosa had already commented, she wanted to reiterate the importance of going to tomorrow's meeting that has to do with the regional transportation plan. So the regional transportation plan with MCAG, and she urges you to be here.
Okay, I just wanted Paul Garcia, and I just wanted to comment on the development that's over here as you're coming from Delhi, right there with McDonald's, the new development, that motel, and I think that is great, because you know what, I think you need more, motel exposure, so people, they're coming off the freeway, they're tired, at least there's a motel right off the road. So I think that is great, and I think all the development that's going on there is lifting up Livingston all over in the state of California, and that really makes me very proud that this little city is growing. And also with the leadership of this council, and also the planning department, and also with the assistance of the board of supervisor for this district. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rebecca Soria, and I live at 2868 Frank Court here in Livingston. And I just had a comment really quick. The 4th of July festival was very good and entertaining. I just had a few problems, like getting home, like with the Explorers and stuff like that. So usually it takes me 5 minutes to get home from right off the freeway, but the traffic control really wasn't that great. An example is like if you're coming from like north and east, there would be, the Explorers would let about 50 cars go, and then, you know, south and west, they would only let like 10 or 5 cars go. So I just would kind of like propose like a better system, maybe, you know, having 10 cars go at a time from the south and west, or, yeah. Never eats like you off. From, you know, those two sides and then the other two sides. But I just think that would be a better system, so that not everybody is stressed and, aggravated with the whole traffic, because, not everybody likes to sit in traffic. But that was just my problem that I had. I wanted to get home after class, but that's kind of the solution that I have. And then I just have another one, which is the illegal fireworks that were going off at night. I mean, I do understand that, it's the 4th of July and people are excited about America's independence, but there was just a lot of that going on and not a lot of, I guess, police patrolling during that times and citing the illegal fireworks. It kind of sucks because people do work early in the morning and, people do like their sleep. So, yeah, those are just my comments. Thank you.
To reiterate with the fireworks, I went to McDonald's and, by the way, Rodrigo Espinosa, Livingston, and during the 4th of July, and then I was coming home on B Street, went to Parkway South. You could see 3, 4, 5 places around town, constant, boom, 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 boom. And I know there was a Livingston police there at McDonald's, and Chris, I know that they saw, but they, and it was the same place that I went through some places for hours and hours, and I know that they saw where they were coming from. But, I'm okay with people putting them out, but, it went out to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was getting calls, and I think, but it's everywhere, not just in Livingston, Atwater, Merced, and if we want to put up with it, that's fine, but it's just like I say, every city has to regulate it. If you guys want to regulate it, you gotta make sure that we tell our chief of police and can go down the line. If we don't say nothing, then it's gonna stay the same, okay? But when residents are concerned, then, we have to do something, so. The other issue is the 4th of July, so I come into, I saw Mr. Mario Loera, which is disabled, probably know him. He used to be my neighbor years ago, and so he's got a disabled card, so he goes into the VIP parking at the 4th of July. They don't let him in. They're asking him to pay $20 for the VIP parking. So if you have an event or now, you gotta have disabled parking, and you don't have to pay. So they didn't let him in, so he got pissed off, he went home. He says, you know what, I wasn't thinking about moving out of Livingston, but this is ridiculous. The parking lot is empty because nobody wants to pay $20 for parking at the 4th of July event. And I know sometimes we don't want to talk about it in public, but I want to talk about it in public. And then I go into the event, and the manager they kicked out the 4th of July committee. Okay, we don't have a 4th of July committee. They kicked them out. The lady that was in charge of the event, Carlos Will, wasn't there, so this lady was rude with everybody, the public. And I told her, I didn't know it was her, that she was the manager. And I told her, you know what, I addressed her nice in front of the 2 4th of July committee members that were still there. And I addressed, you know what, I don't like it when, we started this event years ago, when I was mayor and with, Jose. And I don't appreciate when people are from out of town managing our event that kicked out our 4th of July committee, that I told Julio called me, he got kicked out. And that's to me, that's embarrassing. And I'm not trying to bring down Julio, but like I said, sometimes it gets out of hand, and if you can't manage it, but you can't get somebody else to manage it, that's managing the location, and just kick us out of Livingston. I go, this is our community. We can't let somebody else come in from our community and say, oh, this doesn't belong to the city of Livingston no more. This is our event. I'm sorry? This is still our community. If you're going to be taking the business, doing business with us, you can't be rude to our citizens, to our community. If the 4th of July committee can't handle it, then we'll have somebody else manage it.
We'll have 3 minutes, Supervisor.
Yeah, so thank you, okay? I know that sometimes we don't like to talk about it in public, but we have to, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, on adding to that, I think now that the event's over and there's not much we can do, but we can try to address in the future, we also need to culturally train or bring to your attention the security guards. We have seen people coming in and they were saying you can't go in because you have a knife. They said, no, this is my religious, I'm not going to take this off. Well, you can't go in. I brought to the chief's attention, it was put to an end right away, but they need to be made to understand that, you know, a lot of our concerns that Supervisor Espinoza and everybody else brought up, and were they not aware of our ADA requirements? We could probably get in a lot of trouble if, you know, but from next time, for next year, and even for our Sweet Potato Festival, we need to make sure that these concerns are addressed.
Thank you, Rosemary. I agree, and, you know, this is why we have our public meeting, so hopefully we can enhance the 4th of July and make it better. You know, there's always challenges and things that come up, and I have some ideas where we can improve and make it safer and make sure that everybody has a good time and we don't have these issues. So hopefully we can meet way before next year, and then we should meet probably in August before the Sweet Potato Festival to go over any things and brainstorm and make sure that we have good planning for it. So.
Yeah, so I'm a liaison to the 4th of July Committee, and you know, the 4th of July Committee did partner with a nonprofit to try to bring in some bigger acts, and there's some great advantages and some disadvantages. You know, I personally really missed when we were at Memorial Park. That really felt very, more like a community event to me, and I really loved it there. But at the same time, we are bringing in a lot more people, and we need more space. So there's things as a community we need to discuss of what our events mean to us and what's important to us. Is it important to us to bring people from outside in, or is it important for us to keep it as low cost as possible and really focus on making it a community event again, which I tend to lean towards. But either way, I think it was a great learning experience this year. It was exciting to have some big names, but is that in keeping with the spirit of Livingston? I'm not sure that it is. Either way, though, I do appreciate our 4th of July committee. They worked very hard, and, you know, it's unfortunate that they did feel slighted at some point to where they did leave the event, but it's the committee who makes the commitment with the nonprofit. So my assumption is that this committee will not allow the same things to occur in the future that occurred this year. While at the same time, as leaders, we can always take this event back. This committee was only formed because the city wanted an outside revenue source in order to fund this event. But on another note, I really wanted to say, and I know this is public comment, so I only got 3 minutes, I want to applaud our council up here. You know, recently I've seen Merced County not being able to, or excuse me, the Merced County supervisors not providing translation services. And when that happens, the public voice is not being heard. And I commend our council and our diverse staff that we are able to offer translation services in multiple languages, and we don't create arbitrary rules that make it so the public has to come and make announcements 2 days or a day ahead of time so their voice can be heard. That's wrong. Merced County should be ashamed of themselves by limiting the voice of the people. And Mr. Supervisor, I know you're against that. I know you've been out there and been vocal, and I want you to know that here in Livingston, you have our support. And if we need to be more vocal to make sure that all of our community citizens can be heard at the Board of Supervisors meetings, then I'm happy to be up there and be your crazy, because that's wrong. Our people have a voice, and it doesn't matter if that voice is speaking in Punjabi, or speaking in Spanish, or speaking in German, or speaking in English or Portuguese. They should be heard. Thank you.
Any other comments? There were some comments? Did you come, yeah, you came up already, so, yeah. Mr. Blevins, I see you in the back, any comments? Haven't seen you in a while, how you doing, sir? All right, I will go on close citizen comments. Thank you, everybody, for your comments, and we'll take this to heart and make sure that we provide a great event, 4th of July, Sweet Potato Festival. That's basically what it is. It's for the people. So we'll move on to discussion of potential action items, item 11. Oh, did I skip one? I'm trying to get ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine or non-controversial will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council or city manager request specific items be removed. Item 3. Item 3, we didn't have claims for damages from Kevin Bertolato. Item 4, resolution accepting completion of the installation of LED street lights project phase 1, authorizing the city clerk to file a notice of completion with Merced County and authorize the city manager to release payment and performance bonds and make final payment and retention monies to Siemens Industry Incorporated. Item 5, resolution accepting completion for the fire station, City Hall, Public Works Yard, emergency generators, authorizing the city clerk to file notice of completion with Merced County, and authorizing the city manager to release payment and performance bonds and make final payment of retention monies to Modesto Executive Electric Incorporated. Item 6, resolution accepting completion for the sand separator and well repairs at well number 8, authorizing the city clerk to file notice of completion with Merced County and authorizing the city manager to release final payment of retention monies to RTC Construction. Item 7, approval of minutes of meeting held on April 18, 2017. Item 8, approval of minutes of meeting held on May 16, 2017. Item 9, approval of warrant register dated June 30th, 2017. And last item, 10, approval of warrant register dated July 14, 2017. Bring it back to you, council.
I make the motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second. Motion by Vice Mayor Sama and second by Councilmember McCabe. Can I get roll call?
Councilmember McCabe?
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Siqueiros?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Soria?
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, now we will move on to item 11. This will be appointment of city council liaisons to the Livingston Park and Recreation Committee and Planning Commission.
Real quick, point of clarification. Last time when we approved the commission, I made a request for us to make a change to the name. I'm curious why the change isn't there, or why that's not before us. And can we make a point of it at least to get it on our next council meeting? I think that the murals and things in the art district is an important component to our recreation. But that being said, I would like to nominate Mr. Juan Aguilar as our liaison.
Just regarding your point,
Yeah.
the actual ordinance and everything that's done,
Right.
I think staff is just discussing the logistics of making that happen internally on what type of assignments and things like that. But the actual ordinance and the staff report, all of that is done, but I think there's internal conversations of what that looks like.
Oh, okay, so potentially we might move it to a different department or something, so we'd have to create an independent?
Just thinking about how that commission would work, what type of projects, I think is just more of staff just trying to be a little more clear of brainstorming, but the actual ordinance and the amendment, all of that is done.
Okay.
And the staff report, everything is done. I think just staff needed just a little more time to discuss with the recreation department of what kind of projects would be coming up to that committee.
Mr. Sanchez hit it right on the dot. That's exactly what's going on right now within, we're having internal discussions on really what the definition, what the scope of all of that and how it's all going to intertwine. And so we're still having a conversation. It was too preliminary for us to bring it forward, but we should be done by the next council meeting.
I mean, I think we budgeted the money for this over 3 years ago for us to do the murals. So it'd be nice for us to create a pathway for us to actually have some, if the money's there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Okay, you have a motion on the table, but we have Ms. Jackie at the
He made the motion, and I can't think of anybody better to second that motion for, so I will second that motion.
Go ahead, Ms. Jackie, and then we'll open it up to
You guys are good.
the public.
So basically, what we've discussed is exactly what I was going to read, with the exception of, once we appoint someone, then we need to make a replacement for the planning commission, so.
You can't do both.
He can't do both?
I believe he could. I think it was more of spreading the joy.
If anybody else is interested in doing the planning commission, or else I could do both, that's fine.
Yeah, for that one, I'd like to put Councilmember Sicados from planning liaison. I need a second.
Second.
You can.
We're going to open it up to the public for any comments for item 11 at 8:04. No comments, so we have first and second.
Can we do can we do the first one, the Recreation
Right.
Commission first, having Councilmember Aguilar on it? Could we do that vote first, and then we'll do the other?
We'll do recreation liaison first. First nominating Councilmember Aguilar, and a second. Make a roll call.
Councilmember McCabe?
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Sicairos?
Yes.
I know you weren't going to vote no, so, yes.
Okay. Mayor Soria?
Yes.
Motion passes by vote 5-0.
And we have a first and second for Councilman Sicados for Planning Commission liaison. Make a roll call.
Councilmember McCabe?
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Sicairos?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sama?
Yes.
Mayor Soria?
Yes.
Motion passes by vote 5-0.
Have an interest?
And that concludes our city council meeting for July 18th.